Homeschool mama, are you struggling? Are you sitting there wondering, can I really do this? Well, let me share with you 5 things that I would like you to think on as you wrestle with this. If you're new here, I'm Rian, a Christ-following wife and a homeschool mom to 3 boys. Here we talk all things homeschool, and we will learn together how to use our roles as wife, mom, teacher, and homemaker in order to glorify God. Homeschool can be a fickle thing. One day you've done all the art projects, all the science projects, you've read all the books, you've gone on all the play dates, everyone's growing academically, everyone's getting along, and you're like, I've got this. And then a few days down the road, you can have a day where everyone's on the floor, crying, throwing fits, no one wants to do school, you haven't done a single art project, you haven't touched the laundry, and no one's really learning anything, you feel. Sounds about right. So first of all, I would like you to know that's totally normal. That's just kind of how it goes. But here are 5 things that I have learned as a homeschool mom that really help me and encourage me even on the hardest days. Number 1, know that you are giving them what they need most, which is yourself. You're giving it completely to them. You are loving them like no teacher will ever love them. You know them better than any other teacher ever could. You're giving them that one-on-one specialized education that no public school could ever offer them. So keep that in mind. You're doing the best thing right now by giving them your best. Number 2, remember that relationships matter. And what I mean by that is they matter more than the academics, which may sound crazy because you go to fill out a college application, they're not going to say, how well do you get along with your mom and your siblings? No, I'm not saying that. However, having that constant having to get along with other people day in and day out, and not just a bunch of kids in a classroom where you're all separated by desks, but people that you see all the time, that is some really good conflict resolution you're going to be learning. Those are some really strong bonds that you're going to make that they can carry on into adulthood. And as they grow and as they start struggling with things and as they have questions, they're going to have this strong bond with you and your husband and your other children that they're going to come to you with those questions. They're not just going to be terrified to, bring things up to you because they're afraid of what you might think. Now, of course, there's always going to be a little bit of that because as parents, it's just kind of our job. But they're going to know you because you've been spending so much time with them that they're going to trust you and that they're going to come to you with whatever problem they have, and you can help them best wade those waters. So instead of a room full of kids their same age being their primary influence, you are their primary influence. Number 3, if you're here as a homeschooling mama, then you have been called to this task and God will equip you for it. In Deuteronomy 6, it says, we were called to teach them God's commands. In Ephesians 6:4, it says, bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. Now, if they're somewhere else 8 hours a day, minimum, and then they're sleeping 8 hours a day, then you get the leftover 8 hours, and that's not much time to discipline them and equip them and encourage them in the Lord. And then you add in things like bath time, meal time, homework, and then you add in things like sports or other extracurriculars. Like, you're not left with very much time, mama. So them being home with you where you can be their primary influence is a very, very good and precious thing. Number 4 is kind of a tricky one because I tend to fall on the opposite side of most people. So I have a lot of friends and a lot of them will just, this curriculum's not working, and they're just really excited to jump in and try the next thing, which can be good and bad. Because if you're just constantly saying, oh, it's the curriculum, and you just keep changing and changing and changing, it's probably not the curriculum. And some people just, constantly want to change their schedules and their routines and all of that, which again, there's a time and place for that. But if that's something that constantly needs to be done, then you're probably missing what needs to be changed. But where I fall is I tend to be afraid of change. And so when I am doing a curriculum, I'm like, I'm doing this for the next 4 years. I'm not going to be done with this until I have done all of it. That's not a good place to be either. When change is necessary, adapt, change. But don't always say, oh, it's the curriculum, oh, it's the schedule. Think about what it really is that's causing this friction in your home. And a lot of times it's something as simple as our attitudes, or maybe our children's attitudes, which it's our job to shepherd them in that. So again, it kind of falls on us, which is hard, but it's good. And number 5, I want you to remember that a rough day or even a rough season does not mean that it's going to be this hard every single year. And it also doesn't mean that homeschooling is impossible for you. I know a lot of people who this year were just kind of thrown into homeschooling. between the COVID restrictions and virtual learning maybe not working out or whatever, or maybe you started virtual learning and you're like, if I can do this, I can homeschool, I'd rather homeschool. And then you're like, wow, this is really hard. Let me just remind you that hard things are good things. If you've been on this channel long, you know that I say that all the time, but hard does not mean bad. Now, are there times when we're trying to do stuff that we're not called to do and it's hard and we shouldn't be doing it? Of course. However, a lot of times when you are called to something, there's going to be opposition. There's going to be tough waters to tread. But the important thing is, God will be there to see you through it. So there are some seasons, maybe you've just welcomed a new baby, or maybe you have a kiddo with some special needs who's going through something, or maybe you just had kind of a rough time at home. Maybe you've had to start working and you weren't working before, whatever the case may be. There may be seasons, maybe even a whole school year, where you just keep it very basic, where you just go over the core subjects and you do your Bible, and then you just do a lot of playtime, and that's okay. Or maybe just a lot of read alouds, whatever it is. There's gonna be years where you have to scale it back, or at least seasons anyway. And that's all right, mama. Like, that's okay. As long as you see growth in your kiddo, you're okay. You can scale it back for a year. And then once you get through that season, you can just kind of dust yourself off and say, all right, now full steam ahead and let's get back to where we want to be. Because sometimes a lot happens in those hard seasons. A lot of character building can happen then. You have a colicky baby and everyone's really sick of hearing the baby scream. We're building our patience, right? Everyone's just tired because you've been going on a lot of doctor's appointments, or maybe you've had to do a lot of travel that you didn't really plan for. You know, again, we're learning patience. We're learning how to be long-suffering. We're learning how to bear one another's burdens and to love each other even when we're tired and grumpy. So there's always growth happening if you're looking for it. And if you're intentional about those moments when you see it, you can kind of build on that. Say, hey, I see how you're being kind to your sister even though you really don't want to be, or something like that. But our kiddos are always growing. And so even if it's more of a character year where they're just working on mostly their character and then those core subjects, that's all right for a while. So just remember, homeschool is hard work and you're giving a lot of yourself, but it's for the benefit of your kiddos, and most importantly, it's for the glory of God. You're building lasting relationships through this. You're laboring for the heart work that needs to happen in you and your children, because let me tell you, this is a very sanctifying process, and that is a good thing, but it's not always easy or comfortable. And sometimes your seasons are extra hard. Homeschool's always kind of hard, but there's seasons that are going to be extra hard, and that's okay. He will equip you for it, and you can change and adapt as you need to, even if that means scaling it back a little bit for a while. And God will always have enough for you, mama. So please share with me what you have learned. I don't care if you've been homeschooling 6 months or 16 years. Share with me what are some of the most important things that you have learned on your journey. Please subscribe if you haven't, and share this video with someone who may be encouraged by it. Be on the lookout Tuesday. I have a new day in the life coming out that you will not want to miss, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.